I was never able to keep my classroom this quiet. Clear Lake City Council meeting of Monday, April 5th, 2021 will come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. On to the consent agenda. You have a copy of the minutes from our March 15th, 2021 meeting. You have a copy of the bills and claims and the current licenses and permits on the agenda include liquor license, Class B liquor license with outdoor service and Sunday sales, Best Western Holiday Motor Lodge. Class C liquor license with outdoor service and Sunday sales, Veterans Memorial Golf Club, and those are renewals. Excavators license, NIS Excavation, and that is also a renewal. Street closing request for the Clear Lake Walleye Classic, May 15th and 16th, Shake, Rattle, and Stroll, 5K Run Walk for Parkinson's Awareness, May 22nd. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we move on to the citizens' opportunity to address the council on any item not on the agenda. With the City Council's rules of procedure, no action can occur on items presented during the citizens' forum. Please walk to the lectern, state your name, address, and subject to your discussion, and limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Yes, sir, Mr. Reese. Yeah, if you want to pass something out, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Reese. Been a citizen in Clear Lake for about 30-some years. I have some property down on South 15th Street and where the new park is supposed to go in. And some other neighbors, Ben Nedved, Tim Geisenauer, and Mike Finnegan, would like to ask the City of Clear Lake to consider setting aside 20 feet of the old county property on the South 15th Street for an alley. This proposed alley would extend the alley on the west side of the pool to the east to South 15th Street. This alley would assure Jim Geisenauer access to his garage and access for the other property owners' backyards. The alley would also permit the City of Clear Lake a safer way to clear snow off the alley west of the pool. It'll allow the snowplows to drive through to 15th Street and not have to back down the west alley to 2nd Avenue South. The alley would also provide a buffer from the park and private property owners and a visible property line for the park users. We propose to help keep park users from wandering onto private property. A row of arborvitae, evergreens, or some kind of hedge would also serve as a boundary. This hedge would also keep trash and noise from infiltrating private property and create a natural beauty for the park. Thank you for listening to our requests and ideas. We are looking forward to working with you on this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Good presentation. Any others like to speak? Okay, none appearing. We will move on to unfinished business, of which there is none, and on to new business. Item A, Wellness Center Board Member Appointments and Executive Director Position Description and Announcement. Introduction and recommendation for City at-Large Representative by Mr. Scott Flory, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. I'll start out, just kind of go in order here on the agenda. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Wellness Center, the city appointment to that for the community at large member of that. If you recall, in the fall of last year, the city entered into a 28E agreement with Clear Lake Community School District for the new Wellness Center. And of course, that 28E agreement provided for a number of things, and not the least of which was a governing board. So the governing board provided for in that 28E agreement. When I say 28E agreement, just for the benefit of the folks in the audience, that's what's referred to in the Code of Iowa, Chapter 28E is a section that provides for intergovernmental agreements between, so for example, in this case, the city and the school district. So commonly between counties and cities and school districts and community colleges and so forth. So again, the 28E agreement provided for this 5-member board that would serve as the governing board of the Wellness Center. The composition of that 5-member board would be 2 members that would be appointed by the Clear Lake School District, 2 members appointed by the Clear Lake City Council, and 1 member that would be jointly agreed upon between the school district and the city. So the 2 members each from the school and the city, 1 of those members was to be an elected official. So we have 1 elected official from each, and then 1 community member at large from each. So we had put together, Jennifer and I, the city clerk, put together a piece for the social media page for the city to go out inviting interested parties to submit an application, letter of interest for serving on the board of directors of the Wellness Center. So we put that on a 3 weeks ago, let it run till the end of March. So March 31st was the completion date for applicants to submit their letters of interest and applications form by. And then she and I conducted interviews this past week. We had a total of 5 applicants for that, and 3 male, 2 female. And so we conducted the telephone interviews, reviewed the letters of interest and the application forms. Telephone interviews generally ran about 15 to 20 minutes apiece, so we did all 5 of those last week. I would say really all 5 of the applicants were certainly more than qualified to serve on the board. So it's always kind of a difficult challenge there when you have so much good interest in a position like that. So, you know, we were pleasantly surprised, excited to see the amount of interest that we had in that. So, you know, we evaluated the applicants in terms of their history of volunteerism, their work on other community organizations, their involvement with other groups, participation on other like boards, and also generally speaking, the council's overarching desire to have gender balance on its boards and commissions. So with all of that being said, Jennifer and I came to the conclusion that we thought the person that would be the best fit for the city at large representative would be Carrie Tisdall. And you may know her recently. She was the recipient of the Larry Luker Memorial Volunteer of the Year Award. So we thought she'd be an outstanding person for that pick. And that term, as it indicates on the agenda, runs until December 31st of 2025. So that's the 4-year term, but since we're into it kind of halfway here through the year, it's essentially a 4.5-year term. So. The green sheet in your packet is just a list of the questions that Jennifer and I had asked each of the applicants there. we gave an introduction. Of course, it was just her and I on the call, but again, talked about the proposed makeup of the board, reviewed the 2080 agreement with the school, again, that was approved last fall between the city and the school, and then talked about the responsibilities and the terms of the board members, and then also kind of went through the hiring process for the executive director, and then again, just asked for any questions that the applicants had for us. So that's all I have on that. I'll just kind of keep going forward here. I want to talk a little bit about the job description for the executive director for the Wellness Center. That's the pink sheet in your packet. Talk briefly here about this is something I put together, but I had it reviewed by a number of people also to give me their benefit of their experiences on this. Executive director provide visionary leadership in the administration and day-to-day management of the Wellness Center, including wellness educational programs and outreach services. The position's responsible for administrative and financial management, as well as supervision and direction of all staff and services provided through the Wellness Center. In terms of the organizational relationships, it's kind of modeled similar to our structure at the city library, where the position reports to and generally receives direction from board of directors, and is an indirect report to the city administrator. In terms of the qualifications, I just talk educationally here for a moment. The bachelor's degree in physical education, health and wellness, kinesiology, exercise science, recreation, sports management, exercise and nutrition science are a closely related field with 5 years progressively responsible experience in larger scale recreation and wellness centers. So, won't go through any more on that unless you have any questions. The next sheets, the white sheets, a brochure that we put together to start the advertisement process. We've actually already put this on our social media page and already had a few responses to this already, so that's very positive. Again, we're going to advertise this pretty extensively on social media, also through the various League of Cities, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, Minnesota, and so forth. So, and then probably also in the mainstream media as well. So, again, that's several pages there, but the anticipated salary range we estimate between $65,000 and $75,000 annually, dependent upon the qualifications for the applicant, and we'd like to start the interviews by on or about May 1st. So goal is hopefully to have someone in here by Memorial Day, maybe sooner, kind of see how things go there, but certainly by June 1st. So. And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions on any of those items.
Thank you. Just a comment from the dais here. Venturing into new territory for the city. We've had a variety of discussion about this, and most of you are aware that primarily the school is building the facility, but when it went from the idea stage to a reality, the city was approached about being a partner and expanding the concept to include amenities for the rest of the citizens beyond the students. And also, would the city manage it in terms of the interaction with the citizens and just running the facility. You know, it's one of those many things that becomes a win-win when you see something like this come together for the good of the community. And if you haven't driven by out there, it's big. It's the phoenix rising on the horizon, pretty much dwarfing the old school gym, which as a student I thought was a pretty big place, but not so much anymore. And it's going to provide all kinds of wonderful things for a long time for the community. So I applaud Scott and others that have worked with him for his efforts in thinking this through very carefully and coming up with the help of the school personnel for what looks like a very workable pilot to get this thing off the ground and get it operational in an effective way. The city gets involved in a variety of things from a public-private perspective and many times from a volunteer public perspective, like the Veterans Golf Course. And many times these are the kind of agreements that can make the difference between success and failure. I would also like to compliment those that stepped forward and made an application for this community representative. Many times the city has board positions to fill that attract virtually no interest. And there's some recruitment that goes on to find somebody to serve on these boards. So this was a pleasant surprise to see this happen this way. Anyway, just a couple of thoughts on that, and now we'll move on to the business of a motion. And I've been told that the motion on the two different people will be combined here. Is that acceptable, Mr. Flory? Okay. So we're looking for a motion to approve the appointment of the city at large representative, Carrie Tisdall, and a motion for the city elected official who will serve a 2-year term ending 12/31/23 by the city council. So if I've done that properly, I'll ask for a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion.
Need to
and-
name who the council person
Yeah,
is.
we need the council person's name in the motion. So,
Okay, I'll move Mark Ebling to
Okay.
serve on the board and Carrie Tisdall as the at-large.
thank you. And Gary, still a second on those two?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion by the council on these?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, just briefly, I would like to thank Scott and Jennifer for conducting the interviews. I know we had some excellent applicants, and as you said, Mayor Pro Tem, a great group to choose from. So we do appreciate them volunteering their time to fill out an application and going through the interview process. Having said that, I also think you've made a great choice with Carrie Tisdall. I think she will be fabulous as a board member, as well as Mark Ebling. Thank you to Mark for serving on this as well. I think, again, it's shaping up as a fantastic board for just a terrific project for us. So I'll look forward to them evaluating for a director for that position, and we'll look forward to seeing that project finished. Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments, council? Okay, I think we can do this with a voice vote. So all in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And now we're on to the next motion. This is a motion to approve the executive director job description by the city council. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Dana, second by Mark. Any discussion? Same deal. A voice vote. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Once again, motion passes 5-0. Item B, Starboard Square Retail Development Project. Review by Mr. Flory.
There, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if you could just give me a quick approval on that position announcement.
Oh, sorry, missed that one. Okay. Motion on the position announcement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? None. Voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Once again, 5-0, and hopefully that'll be the only major mistake I make tonight.
Okay, Starboard Squares. The purple sheets in your packet are first item addressing this. That's a resolution to fix the date for a public hearing on a development agreement with Momberg Land LLC, including tax increment revenue payments in an amount not to exceed $225,000. The yellow sheets that follow that are a copy of the proposed development agreement between the city and Momberg Land LLC for the project. And then the white sheet after that is just an elevation of what the proposed building looks like there on the east side. The blue sheets that follow that are the letter of intent that was approved by the council between the city and Momberg Land LLC for the project. Of course, this was non-binding letter of intent, but again, expression of good faith so that each side could move forward. So that was approved by the council back meeting on March 15th. So again, this project was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission at its regular meeting on March 30th. The development, of course, we've talked about this numerous times, you know precisely where it is, but it's Lot 3, just directly south of the new Marriott hotel that's being constructed in Courtway Park subdivision. The public hearing that's proposed would be held at your regular meeting on April 19th, 6 p.m. Of course, we'll publish notice of that hearing in the newspaper on April 7th. Again, advising that we'll have a public hearing on that proposed development agreement here in the council chambers at 6 p.m. So I don't have anything further on that project unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions, council? Thank you. So, now we are on to the motion to approve Resolution 2118, a resolution to fix the date, April 19th at 6 p.m. for a public hearing on a development agreement with Momberg Land LLC, including tax increment revenue payments in an amount not to exceed $225,000 by the City Council. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dana, second by Mark. Any discussion, council?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. Just a quick comment. Again, I think this is another terrific project for Clear Lake, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today, and we were talking about real estate and some commercial development in North Iowa. And the story kind of went to the tremendous inflation that we're seeing in things like lumber prices. And he knew of actually some home projects that had been canceled because of that. I just raised that issue because I think it's so important that we move our projects along at the fast pace that we have in the preparation. Scott does a fantastic job of doing that, I think, and I think we're very fortunate, given the potential inflation in the pipeline, that we've been able to move on some of these projects and issue some of the debt that we've issued. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, but I just think we're very fortunate to have a project like this starting and moving forward. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Dana?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike? Yes. Motion approved 5-0. On to C, North Shore Drive and North 9th Street West Storm Sewer Replacement Project. Once again, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. City Council members, the orange sheet in your packet is resolution making an award of contract for the North Shore Drive and North 9th Street West Storm Sewer Outlet Improvement Project. Jason Petersburg, project engineer, is on the phone tonight, so we're both going to kind of team up on this. He's going to review the bid tabulation with you and make a recommendation regarding an award of contract, but just in the way of some background on this one. The council had previously set the date for a quote letting on this for March 31st at 11 o'clock. The engineer's estimated a probable cost of construction was $41,809. For this, we did only receive one bid on the project, and Jason can elaborate. He talked to some of the contractors and got some feelings as to their reservations or hesitation about bidding the project. So the one bid we did receive was from Brian Nettleton Excavating of Joyce, Iowa, in the amount of $46,371.50. So it was about 10.5% over what the engineers estimate the probable cost of construction. But in talking to Jason, he had indicated that probably, back to your comment, Mr. Smith, on the cost of the pipe materials, in this case, are pretty fluid and changing daily almost, so probably missed the mark a little bit on the cost of the pipe material itself. But the improvements, of course, are roughly an 8-acre drainage area. The project entails the replacement of some defective storm sewer piping there at North 9th Street West as it goes into the lake from North Shore Drive. So it'll be replaced with a new 30-inch elliptical RCP pipe. We also added a fair amount of street patching to the project too. So we do anticipate that the project would begin here about mid-April and then be completed by mid-May. And if you recall, this is one of the projects that we had budgeted for in fiscal year 21 amended. We thought initially we might be able to incorporate a stormwater quality improvement project into this, but because of the elevation of the lake and North 9th Street West between each other, just wasn't going to work out for us to be able to put any kind of a rain garden or a grit chamber or any other kinds of those best management practices for stormwater in at this location. But you know, we certainly looked at it, evaluated it, and just wasn't going to be able to be done. So I don't have anything further on that unless anybody has any questions.
Should I bring Jason in?
Yep.
Jason, you there?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Scott indicated at your March 15th meeting, we did review the proposed scope of the North 9th Street West and North Shore Drive storm sewer replacement project. I will note that after that meeting, as we were putting together final plans, evaluating the condition of some of the surrounding pavement, we presented to the city if they wanted to expand the concrete pavement patching to replace some existing broken up pavement. They did elect to do so, which is what has increased the cost estimate to just under $42,000. We did advertise to 7 local contractors. We received the 1 quote from the 4 who did request the plans and bid documents. The quote received from Brian Middleton Excavating is $46,371.50, which is just under 11% over the estimate. Reviewing the bid, it appears that the storm sewer pipe itself, that item, was the majority of the cost difference from our estimate. We discussed this with Brian Nettleton, and it appears the material cost was more than estimated, and he also indicated that his labor costs were a little higher than normal as well, due to being a kind of a low production project, not putting a lot of pipe in a day. We did reach out to a couple of the other contractors who took out plans on this, questioned them regarding why they didn't provide a quote. A couple of them, it was timing. They had a project start this year off. We do want this wrapped up here this spring. Others were concerned with the lake level, primarily having to put the storm sewer pipe or a portion thereof below lake level, and their concerns were building the cost for them to do so. So as such, B&K does recommend awarding the construction contract to Brian Middleton Excavating. Like I said, timing-wise, the plan is to complete the project within the next month or so. Any questions of me on that?
Council, any questions for Mr. Petersburg? Nope, that'll do it. Thanks a lot, Jason. Okay, we're ready to award a contract here. So this is going to be resolution number 21-19, a resolution making an award of contract to Brian Nettleton Excavation in the amount of $46,371.50. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Dana, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion, council? Okay, once again, we'll need a roll call here. Bennett,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Mike, yes. Dana,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0. Okay, now we're on to Chief Roth.
Thank you, Your Honor, Council. Just want to let you know in the near future, we will be working with the city and Iowa codification to update our city code. We need to update some legislative changes that have occurred over our lifetime of our code. So we need to, which includes the current session going on right now. So we'll start that project here in the near future and work with department heads, city council, and building, Mike Ritter and that type of stuff. Tomorrow begins our monthly outdoor warning siren test. As you know, we've been kind of doing that, updating our social media on those, just to let everyone know that that's happening. So that begins tomorrow, April 6th. And then just as a reminder, we're a couple weeks out from our first spring-summer outdoor event. I think it's Earth Day. Since we all got out of practice last year, I just want to remind the public to look out for the events, watch out for street closures, volunteers, and increased traffic during those times. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if you have any questions, unless there's any questions. Or
Council, any questions for the chief? Thank you, sir. Moving on, Public Works Director, Mr. Kornberg.
Thank you, Council. Just a couple updates. Our pavement markings, so our straight line painting has been scheduled. We awarded the contract to Vogel Traffic Services, and that should take place right at the beginning of May. So they said they'll be hitting Cerro Gordo County that time, and that's about when temps are and conditions are about perfect for it anyway. So we usually make sure that they have it all done before Memorial Day and should be in line for that. I know I've talked to Bennett about this one, South Lakeview Drive. If you haven't noticed, there's a very large area that's destroyed right now. Wet conditions here this last fall or this spring, and that last snow, as well as some construction work that's gone on that road, kind of destroyed that area. So I've been working with Jason just on some ways to make it work until we get a South Lakeview project completed here in the next handful of years. So we'll be hopefully starting on that in the next week or so, coring it out, putting some sub drain added to the storm drain down there, just to kind of hopefully get by. So other than that, I don't think I have anything other updates. Unless you have any questions, I can help you out with.
Just one question, more of a reminder than anything. Could you remind the community once again when the large item pickup is going to happen?
Sure. That is the last week of April, so it's the 26th, April 26th through the 29th. We'll start Monday morning, 7 o'clock, and try and make sure everything's out by that time. Keep your piles as organized as possible. Like I said, we do our best to get as much as we can, but we obviously don't pick up every little piece of garbage or items. So, but hopefully, the past couple of years, this last one, because I think we missed one with COVID. So I know last fall's or whatever was very intense. It took an extra time to get through. So bear with us. We're not really sure how this one will go. So if it seems like we're a little bit day behind or something, it just depends on how much stuff's out there. So, and then appliances will start on Thursday, depending on how fast we get through everything, and hopefully have those all finished up Thursday or Friday. So.
It's always such a well-received event in Clear Lake, and I thought it was...
It's amazing where the stuff comes from every year.
Well, and I think maybe with the COVID thing, more people have had more time to clean out things, and at least that's my wife's angle on it, so...
Files have started already.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was a good item to bring up, so thank you, sir.
And thank you, Jeremy, for working with us on the South Lakeview Drive project. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's, I know we had a frost boil down there, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we did some patching, but I think just if you look at the elevations down there, it's right at lake level, so you're always gonna have some water, and there's no subdrain now, so
Yeah.
hopefully putting that in will at least get us by until the project finally gets through, so.
Exactly, you're right. It's low down there and it's a tough area, so thank you for you and your guys for the help down there.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Under the mayor's report, we have a couple of our regular guests out there, so start with Stacy Dawn, our chamber director.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Council. I do appreciate the opportunity to come and share with you guys, so thank you for always having me and welcoming a few brief comments. I will echo what Pete Roth, or Chief Roth here said tonight, and that we are ramping up events, and so the community does need to be aware there will be a 5K on April 17th, 5K and 10K that will extend kind of beyond State Park. So just so people are watching for that. And then when we have our triathlon on May 29th, bikes will be moving very quickly along South Shore out into the county. And so another place where people need to be watching and mindful. Just a few upcoming events that I want to share with you. We are having a legislative briefing on Friday with Representative Latham and Senator Reagan. They're going to be covering topics related to business and commerce. So that is Friday. It's virtual and it's at 2 p.m. If you'd like a link, just give us a call at the chamber and we'll get you that link. I would also like to invite you to a groundbreaking ceremony for the Starboard Square Retail Development Project. That is Tuesday the 13th at 11:30 out south of the Marriott project. So excited to see that development moving forward. And then we have the return of business after hours. Athletico will be hosting our first business after hours in over a year on April 28th at 4:30. So that's all I have to share unless you guys have any questions.
You guys planning on doing Thursdays on Main?
Yes, so the plans are in motion for Thursdays on Main. We have, I think Trish has all of the bands already booked for it. Obviously, we are going to continue to watch what's going on around our country and in our state, but increasing optimism that we'll be able to move forward given it's outdoors and plenty of space for people to spread out, and if people are getting vaccinated and they can choose whether or not to attend. So that is the plan, is to move forward. That'll start the first week in June.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Chad Schreck, Economic Development Commission.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Appreciate the time this evening, and it's always great to work with Stacy on a lot of these things. Over the last couple of weeks, I think Scott and Stacy and I have gotten to meet with several retailers and restaurants that are looking at doing things. I mean, everything from Skip's Kicks to potentially getting some buildings bought back on Main Street that are really exciting opportunities. We got to work on, Nyakog had an application for some low interest, no interest loans that they, $500,000 program through the CARES Act. And I think they ended up getting all 500,000 of that out here over the last couple of months. And the majority of that was between in Cerro Gordo County, which was, I think, really, really positive. I'm not sure how many of those they've announced publicly yet. I can say, I know for sure the one was actually a Clear Lake-based business, Simply Nourished, and their expansion over into Mason City received some of that funding. And we also got one approved here in Clear Lake that we worked on directly and had a few others apply as well. So waiting on finals on some of those and getting the paperwork all done. But really, really positive to get that money flowing into our businesses and a lot of activity here in Clear Lake. We're also working with a company here just outside of city limits that's looking at about 30 to 50 jobs, and we're working with them on some potential road. They're looking at a project just off the pavement. So I've had some really good initial conversations with them and going to be working with the county on that. But again, just outside of Clear Lake and kind of a cool business. Can't say too much about them just yet. But again, that's a project that looks to be happening. We continue to work on our digital economy strategy. We've talked about that for a little while now. We're in the home stretch of that. That application is due to the Economic Development Administration here on April 29th. So again, we're going for $750,000 in that grant, and part of that is a $750,000 match, which had some conversations with Scott and the others in Mason City, and they've got that on their agenda tomorrow, so I hope to bug you guys here in 2 more weeks with that. But really, it's come along incredibly well. Really, it's about building out our K through 12 and NIAC programming, and building that ecosystem for tech and tech companies. You know, we've had great participation from Kingland and TeamQuest and several of our other businesses in the county, and really that's just the future. We're seeing a lot of businesses move to work from home and things like that, and obviously those type of jobs, a lot of them can work from anywhere. So we want to attract those people in our community, or help provide our students with the skill sets to have those type of jobs, and hopefully stay home and stay here, or attract other people here from other communities or other states that would like our quality of life and our low cost of living. So really an exciting program. The NIAC team and Papa John Center, our organization, the cities, county, the chambers, a lot of partners have taken part in that process, and hope to roll a lot out more here in the coming weeks and months. Part of that, actually, our annual meeting, speaking of in-person events, last year we had to cancel ours, of course, our in-person portion, so we're hoping to have that in person this year at the Surf on June 10th. So you'll be getting invites for that soon. Key topic is going to be that digital economy strategy, and having our consultant team that we've been working with really lay that all out and present that to our key partners, and just show what we've done and what we're trying to do in that program. Again, it's a 3-year program through that grant. Couple other things. On the lead development side, we continue to see really good opportunities. From IEDA alone, in the last week we had 2 large opportunities. One was actually out, they wanted to be on an airport, and if you know the airport land, we have quite a bit of developable land over there. Unfortunately, as we looked at this project, we didn't quite meet all of their needs. They were primarily looking for an existing building, but as we were looking at it, if the option for build-to-suit would have come up, we didn't quite have the land developed and ready to go. So we've had some really good conversations with the airport, and a lot of the forward thinking that the city has done, to get some utilities over there and adjacent to the property would be essential if we're able to move forward with some development on that airport land. So some cool opportunities there that might open up over the coming years, and we want to have more of a extended conversation about what that could look like, because there's anywhere from 60 to 100 acres of land that could really be appealing to the right type of project out there. Also continue to see some really good warehouse and manufacturing kind of projects. Again, we're applying for one that's due this week. Actually fits the certified site in Mason City really well, but would be the kind of project that would have a lot of spin-off potential with it as well, due to its size. We were actually identified by the state and Alliant as one of the few areas that could handle the project. So we're moving that one forward and seeing where it goes. Again, it's a long shot, it's a big project, but it'd be a really good one, upwards of $400 million in initial investment, and 400 jobs, so a large manufacturing opportunity. Finally, on the legislative side, we have quite a few things going on. It's getting down to the wire up there. They've gone through a few funnels. We continue to watch a TIF bill that's in the works. Fortunately, it seems that that's kind of gone on the back burner a little bit, but those can pop back anytime. So we continue to watch that. Of course, would have an impact on our city and county as far as what our ability is. We've seen some really good things tonight again, and the utilization of TIF and how important that is to development in our communities. So I want to make sure that they don't cause us any issues on that. And the other big issue we're hoping we'll get through is more on housing. And we've had some, again, Scott and I have had some really good conversations with developers that are very interested in the Clear Lake market. And these programs would be very helpful in moving some of those forward and continuing to see the growth that we've been fortunate to have in the housing side. Finally, Leadership Iowa is a thing that Association of Business and Industry does. They have every year a class of 40 people from across the state that spend a year going to a different community every month and covering several topics. We get to host them here in our area this Wednesday through Friday. So they actually are going to be touring the Surf on Wednesday, and I think the Mason City Arena and several other places the couple of days that they're here. So looking forward to welcoming them to our communities and showing off what we got. So I think that's all I got for now. But
Any questions for Mr. Schreck?
thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. Just really exciting from a city standpoint to hear about all these progressive things happening. I came to the conclusion a long time ago that towns, like people and many other things, are usually either progressing or they're going backwards. You know, it's kind of like a car. It's going to back up and reverse and go forward and drive and sit still in neutral. Fortunately, we've been in drive, and I guess you could go forward and neutral on a downhill, but that's not happening in a COVID situation. So we're pretty lucky. We got a lot of people that are driving things forward in North Iowa and Clear Lake, and it's once again a very exciting time for Clear Lake, Iowa, and thank you all for your contributions. Back to Mr. Flory with a few other items.
Be quick on some of these, just the library director position. I did have a meeting last week with members from the library board of trustees. I think everybody is aware that current library director Jill Pancook has indicated that she's inclined to retire before the end of the year, so that's not official yet, but so we had a meeting the other night to talk about strategy moving forward in the anticipation that she does decide to retire, and you know, we anticipate her making a decision on that pretty quickly. So talked about potential job description reviews and salary parameters for the position, and where we might advertise and those kinds of things. So just give you a quick heads up on that one. The entryway welcome signs project, Jason and I met with representative from the railroad. You know, we had previously met with officials from the Department of Transportation. In particular, the sign at North 8th Street is located in, currently, the green one is in railroad right-of-way. So we have on the south side of Highway 18, we have DOT right-of-way, and then south of that we have railroad right-of-way. So it's kind of a complex little situation there. So, you know, our first preference was to get it as close to the highway as we could. So we met with the DOT and talked to them about putting it there, probably have it angled to the southeast, you know, that didn't meet with their favor. And so we decided at that point, let's talk to the railroad and see how things go there. And I would say I think we got a pretty good response back from the person in charge of the permitting for these kinds of things. So we talked to that person about eventual placement of one of the LED signs there at 8th Street in the railroad right-of-way, and then also talking about the sign at Buddy Holly in terms of that location. You know, we've got our property there on Buddy Holly, but this would also be another option that we could consider putting it a little bit closer to highway in the railroad right away. So I think once we come to an understanding, and there'll be a permit process that's associated with that, but once we kind of get that nailed down, then I think we can move that project forward. So hopefully we can get that going here pretty quick. Then also, lastly, the item in your packet here, the yellow sheet at the end of the packet. This is something, I know Mike was on years ago when we did this program. We had a downtown incentive program, and that was one of the key tools that we were able to use to bring a couple of businesses to our community. And you know, that program's pretty much expired last few years. So this is a rewrite of that, if you will. So I think in terms of you know, the businesses that we had that came to Clear Lake and benefited in some way from that, we had obviously Larson's Mercantile was kind of the big one that caused us to put the program together, and then Emerson's was the second one, and then we had some others that have followed that. But one component of that was a rental assistance program. So this really builds upon that. So I just want to kind of go through this real quickly with you here. So the preamble here at the beginning, this is a draft. So if it would be favorable with you, we'd like to bring this back for approval in consideration at the next council meeting on April 19th. So the City of Clear Lake is establishing a business incubator program within the downtown Clear Lake to create vibrancy and promote economic opportunities in downtown Clear Lake. The program supports new retail and other business concepts. So I think that's the key, that it's geared towards retail and other business concepts. The incentive program is available for ground floor, for-profit businesses, retail, and other business concepts that are new to downtown Clear Lake. In a leasing situation, both the tenant and property owner would have to agree to the terms and conditions of the program. Businesses would be eligible for the following benefits. So the maximum rental subsidy that the city would provide over a year and a half, 18-month period, would be $10,000. Item 2, you can see how that 18-month period would break down. It broken down into 6 months increments. So months 1 through 6, 50% rent subsidy capped at $830 a month. Months 7 through 12, 33% subsidy capped again at $560 a month, and then months 13 through 18, 17% capped at $275 a month. So that's really kind of the core of the program there. I do want to point out too some of the additional criteria that businesses that we get into these issues on building facades and signage, so wanted to insert that in this program, that proposed building facades that are not consistent with the nostalgic theme of downtown Clear Lake may be excluded from the program, because we've had that come up over the years. The infamous biker sign, if you remember. heard more about that over the years. The business owners shall remain in continuous operation within the downtown business district for 3 years from the opening date, and that if the business would go out of business or close operations, the city would reserve the right to require repayment of any or all of the funds that were part of the project in the first place. For purposes of the incubator program, retail be defined as a business in which a majority of the floor space of the business is dedicated to the display of products available for sale on the premises. Franchise and chain business establishments are ineligible to participate in the program. Consideration would be given to new businesses, new concepts by existing downtown retailers, and expansion of existing retail operations from outside downtown Clear Lake. So we've had some, again, like I say, we've had some interest. Chad mentioned here just a little bit ago, we've had some interest expressed, a couple of opportunities for that, and to Bennett's comment, the building material, so many of these require renovation, and there's going to be an economic gap in there between what an owner of a building needs in terms of rent and what a lease situation can support. And so the idea of this program is to try to fill that gap, and so I think we'll be seeing more and more of that. So hopefully, again, that's an incentive program that in the past was pretty successful, and hopefully we'll see some more success with a similar program. So again, that's just a draft for your perusal, and I would invite comments back from you. I've given it to you previously, so some of you have shared some comments so far with me on that. I've shared it with some others and got some feedback from others outside the city as well. So I'd like to bring this back at the meeting on the 19th for your consideration. So.
Any comment, Council?
Yeah, just real quick, Mayor Pro Tem, thank you, Scott, for bringing this forward. I think this is a very innovative approach, and as you said, I think what I like about it is it just helps these businesses get started, get off the ground, and as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned earlier, the public-private partnerships that we've done in the past. So I think this is a very positive for our downtown, which is very important for our community and tourists and everything. So thank you, and
Yeah, very important. I think those are exactly the key words. We try to help get them to a period of sustainability.
Yeah, exactly. And have you had some positive reactions
Yes.
to the feelers you put out? I would think so.
Mhm.
So thank you.
So what do you need, just a head nod?
Just
or
so we'll put this on for the 19th.
So-
and so
what's your pleasure, Council? Is this good for taking a look at? You bet.
good. Sounds
We're good, and once again, everything floats to the past to my mind anymore, but,
What's that say about those who don't study history?
well, yeah.
Them to repeat
And
mistakes.
since I taught it for 40 years, I studied it ad nauseum. But anyway, what quickly came to mind was the old concept of pump priming, and just helping them out a little here. So anyway, sounds good. All of you folks out there are going to be glad to hear that we're nearing the end here. Want to thank all of you that showed up tonight. It's always good to see a few extra people out there, and we've been kind of the Maytag repairman for quite some time now, but good to see some citizenry back. And anyway, for the good of the order, nothing, and we're adjourned.